ropes it off. A flying tackle by Anna Dropkick.
10 pounds of pure love.
Gotta hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the rich.
Gotta be the best of them. It's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19...
That was pretty hard, and look at what he's gonna work now. Ooh.
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Billy Corgan's NWA on TEW 2020. We have Clash of Champions. I was about to say Clash of Clans. That's a throwback to like 2015. But yeah, we have our next pay-per-view. It's not really a major pay-per-view, but it's gonna be probably a season finale. We're not gonna take a break. I was thinking about maybe taking a break, doing some other stuff, but I'm on a roll with NWA, so I think we're gonna roll right into season 3. But we're probably gonna have a backstage episode, probably done live, to deal with a couple things in the backstage. Specifically, we're gonna have to deal with stuff like some of the releases that happened, maybe editing some people's stats that just don't feel right, that kind of thing. As well as, I wanted to try something new. We haven't done it, and I think we're going to do it every time we do maybe a new season, which is usually just about once a year, maybe 2 a year. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a sort of a shakeup, superstar shakeup, if you will. And what we're going to do is probably going to bring back the wheel from one of our previous shows. And what we're going to do is we're going to spin it and release a random number of wrestlers from some of the bigger promotions. So in terms of bigger promotions, it's probably just going to be AEW and WWE, not necessarily New Japan. And the smaller ones are going to be off limits, so it doesn't really make sense. Like Impact doesn't really have exclusive wrestlers on the save or anything like that, so there's no reason to release them. But I figure the shakeup will just provide a little bit of difference to the save, and it will release wrestlers that maybe wouldn't be released, and just simulate that sort of randomness that comes from it. The game does randomly release people, but it doesn't release a lot of people. You know, if we were to go in here and is it diary? No, it's news. So if I were to look for company leaving, worker leaving, should have the term worker leaving released. There it is. Okay. So if I were to look at that and say all years AEW, there's not a lot. There's Conor McGregor, who was set wrong in the save, and I had to set him as a non-wrestler because for some reason he was in there. Brody Lee, who died. Scott Steiner, who we threw at. Well, when was he there? He was in a loan period. Miro in a loan period, and Sheamus in a loan period. So that's it for AEW at all. One of which was our doing, and one of which was two of which technically were our doing. WWE in this save, everybody that left, for the most part, not entirely, but most of them are people that had left in the real world, and we updated it, right? And we have to continue to do that. So some people left earlier. I think I'm trying to remember. Samoa Joe is technically back in, and we scooped him up. So the world's diverged there. But a lot of these people are people that had left for real. So the game kind of likes to hoard people in a way that a rational wrestling company would, but we don't live in a rational world anymore when it comes to professional wrestling. So in a lot of ways, we need to shake things up for the game. So that's what we're probably going to do during that backstage. So we're going to have a backstage, and then the new season will start. And so this season will end with Clash of Champions, which actually isn't this week. It's we have Power and then Clash of Champions. So I actually misspoke. But So we'll have 2 more episodes, the Backstage, and then boom, we're on to a new season. One of the things I do want to change right now, even before then, everyone agrees, it's pretty much unanimous that the new product sucks. So we are just going to go right ahead and change that, and we're going to do it in a way that's not going to penalize us at all. We gave it a shot. It looked good on paper, and it shows maybe the problem with the product system in the game, that it's a cool idea, but just not really that fun, unfortunately. So this is where we could do a whole bunch of stuff here. We could cheat at a billion momentum. So we're on Modern Throwback. I think we were talking about Classic Balanced being kind of what we are. Midpoint, all products displaced. In-ring matches, quality is equal in importance. Entertainment, by its nature, is quite loosely defined. It means that there's a lot of freedom in how the company presents itself. Loosely enforced face and heel. What does that give us? Well, it expects us to have 80% matches, 20% angles on events, 75% matches, and 25% angles. It gives us a ratio of either 40-60 or 55-45 for in-ring action and popularity, depending on whatever gets the best rating. So it kind of limits us a little bit there. Fans will be upset by dangerous, controversial, and bloody matches, which makes sense. Cinematic matches will be heavily penalized. A whole bunch of things. There is no requirement. I don't think this is what we had originally, though. It's also classic Southern wrestling, which is more closely associated with the 70s and 80s professional, treated as real, larger life characters. Also a possibility. I think for now we will stick with Classic Balance. I think it doesn't quite have... Oh, there's actually a little bit more here. There we go. Okay, there we are. We'll be tracked for sponsors. Only requirement seems to be that it needs 1 match dedicated to storytelling, which is not a big deal. And comedy matches, well, most comedy matches based gimmicks will not work on stars or major stars. Okay, so we're going to do this for now. I'm not 100% on this one. I think this may have been our original setting, but I feel like there's something that might be closer and might be interesting. But I think we're going to save that for that Backstage episode. We're going to dive deep with everybody that wants to watch, and we can fine-tune it and find something. I want to have something that's balanced in that I have the creativity or have the ability to be creative with the storytelling, but I also want to have some barriers that I have to work around. You know, there's through adversity, creativity really can blossom. But for now, this looks really good, and it looks a lot better than what we had. And I think it'll be a lot easier on us. So I'm quite happy with that. I'll be very happy with that. I think that's perfectly fine. So with that out of the way, there's not much else to do. We have a go-home show. We've kind of built up where we're going to go with this previous episode. We kind of already know. We have a little bit of a feud between Thea Trinidad and Delilah Doom. It went fine. We have tensions between Pillman and Jarrett, and Pillman is going into I believe it's a loser leaves town match, basically, with Kingston. Pentagon re-debuts to attack Laredo Kid and Samurai del Sol. So we got some elements of drama there. Eli Drake obviously is going for the title here against Ace Austin. Miro is going to have a match with a Warhorse at Clash. We have some other stories we need to build up on a little bit as well. Poor Samoa Joe's actually gotten kind of the rough end of things on our booking, but I'm sure he'll have a place and a chance at some point. And then we also have a Mickey James Madison Eagles drama for the Alliance title that we have to build up as well. So we got some stuff going on. And we have Chris Hero murdering Homicide, which kind of changes his storyline just a little bit. So we got some stuff to book. We got one day to build up a little bit more. I think we certainly can. So let's go ahead and let's get to it. All right, we got some mail, contract negotiations. We'll complete that with the James Storm. We'll bring him in. Aries and Allison Danger is divorced. We had a one-night loan period for Samoa Joe at Impact and Eddie Kingston. We've now ended our runs in our pivot share, unfortunately. That's just because we can't actually extend that deal, so it's kind of a problem. Ezekiel Crowley was gone from CWFH, had a little bit of a stint there. Talk about a gain there from the Alliance. Everybody else is doing very well from this Alliance. We're not really getting that much value out of it. Smojo, and also Impact for Alliance loan again. And, oh, hey! Our merchandising operation has finally upgraded. Let's take a look at that. I think this means we now have, yes, now we have the ability to get additional money from specific workers. So we can actually see the split and then where we're getting the merchandise sales from, which is super cool. That's definitely going to give us a huge boost in revenue. And not a huge boost, but this also is going to be a good defining line to find where our draws are, which right now we've not really been able to find our draws, and now we can. WC Pillman only at $44 here in terms of total revenue, but is obviously Ezekiel Crowley, big money going on for the Zeke. We're going to do big things with him once we get him out of the Satori storyline. Now, the next stage is what? Doesn't really tell us. At the next level, you'll be getting about $5 per fan. Well, we might as well start the upgrade. But we don't need to go super aggressively at this point. But at this level of merchandise, we're fairly well established, though it's limited in range, using only part-time staff, and run in an efficient manner. You can start to monetize old events and selling them on DVD and VHS. Your current product working specific merchandise for your major stars and stars, but are limited to selling it in your home area. So we're only going to get merchandise for major stars and stars, which is fine because people that are under that are probably not going to get a lot, right? Anyways, so at live shows, you can expect to make about an average of $3 per fan in attendance, and you can expect to make about 10 per popularity point per region each month from mail-in orders from the business. Okay, so it does cost a little money. Costs us $12.50. I don't know if we're we might just end up breaking even on this, but it's a nice, interesting metric to take a look at from time to time to see what is going on. Did I just forget to start that? No. Okay, we're fine. So that's super interesting. In the meantime, though, we are booking it with money. We're already 59,000 up. Doing very well. Merchandise sales, I mean, have always been positive, so it's actually not too bad. I'm very curious to see how that shakes out, though. But we're making money, and we're booking it. So yeah, that's exciting. There's some good movement. We just need to move the needle in terms of popularity, which we're getting there slowly but surely. But it's just taking a while. Would love it to just spike, but I don't think that's possible unless we were to modify the rules. But we're booking it. We're on the upward trend finally. All right, let's get to Power. Let's undo all the goodwill that we just made. All right, we're ready for Power. I forget what we set this as. We might have to do some modification for this. No, we're set to 2 hours. Okay, we're fine. I couldn't remember how we had it set, but 2 hours might be too long again. Because I know we had the issues with the 2 hours is fine. We can make 2 hours work. I'm not that concerned. I'm freaking out over the changes that we've made to the product, but because we did extend the time for that, but we'll be fine. We can make it work. We'll just have more matches and stuff. We had an incident with Ron Killings here. He gave Locker Room a lift with a series of spot-on impressions of some of his colleagues. And then we got another incident involving Connor. Breaking the backstage area with simply just being cheerful to be around. That face just looks cheerful. Absolutely. Absent workers are Riho, who's out injured. Thunder Rosa is training for a professional fight, and Homicide, who is out injured. Yeah. So we expected that. We got 792 fans expected. We are, of course, going to go to the arena. And we're going to put on a show. Now, so what do we need now? I think we just need storytelling. So this is not, I don't think, the original product that we had before, because I think we also needed a steal the show mayhem or something like that. So we'll play around with it, but again, we'll hold on. We'll keep this just until we find something that really feels like it suits the product that we're trying to put on, and provides a nice level of bonuses and requirements and restrictions to kind of flesh it out. But for now, this will do. We have to do 120 minutes. It should not be that difficult to do so. All of our alliance belts are available, so we can always pull people in for that. So we should be fine. Let's go ahead and let's book our 2 hour power. Alright guys, I think we got our show set up. I actually had a little bit of hard time containing this to the 2 hours, even with the new changes, but that's just because we had a lot happening on this show. Trying to set up some pieces here and there, and try to get as much of the go-home show going as we can. So let's not even beat around the bush. Let's get right to our next episode of 2 Hour Power. So we start off with Heidi Loveless versus Hunty, who's a local worker. She's underrated in this mod as well, I think. She had a 28, Heidi had a 53. A person I want to look at in our next backstage. I want to look at a lot of the women in our backstages. I feel like they're not really given their just deserves in this save. And Hunty's one of those ones that I feel like has improved massively, much more so than her in-ring performance puts on. I don't know if she's like 50 on in-ring performance, but maybe like 30, 32, 35, something like that. So maybe a tweak needs to happen there. But she gives a good challenge to Heidi Loveless, but in 5 minutes, the Heidi Ho is delivered, and Hunty goes down. It got the crowd hotter, got the show off to a strong start, and it got us a 54. Is not too bad. Heidi's doing very well here with a 53. Afterwards, we have a promo by Heidi Loveless, our champion, in which she grabs a microphone, grabs the belt, and brags a little bit. She says, I don't mean to brag, as she says that she's bragging, but there's not really a lot of competition in the NWA on my level. She mugs to the camera, smirking. It's not that there aren't talented women. There are. I see a lot of them in the division, but nobody's really on the level of a performance that I put on. And it's been that way for years, and everywhere I've been. I currently hold the women's championship, and I look around and I see truly nobody worthy yet of a shot. That's why I talked to Jeff Jarrett and I sent out the call to the Alliance. Tomorrow night, I want the best the Alliance has to offer, and I'm going to show the world why I'm the most unappreciated female wrestler in the world. So this was an audible. We were originally setting up a Deonna Purrazzo versus Heidi Loveless match, but it just... Their skirmish just bombed so bad that I need to pull somebody else in. Anybody from the Alliance that we can do. So we're probably going to look at some of the potential to pull an Alliance loan in and hopefully bring somebody in that can have a match that can put over Heidi, build her up a little bit more for us. And then, obviously, in our backstage, we might need to look at doing a little bit of hiring, a little bit of firing, and see who we can bring in. Right now, Madison Eagles would be a great contender, but we have her in a sort of a program already with Mickie James. We're trying to build up Delilah Doom, but she's not there yet. And we're really not seeing a lot of people. Kimberly's gone. Thunder Rosa's out on excursion for MMA, so we're really in a tight bind right now in terms of the female talent. But we have the Alliance. We can lean on the Alliance. Let's go ahead and do that. Afterwards, we got Chris Hero versus Tim Storm Jr. Chris Hero defeats Tim Storm in 6 minutes after a stoppage when Tim Storm Jr. is injured and could not continue. Damn you, Chris Hero, you've done it again. Tim Storm has a 22. Chris Hero has a 54. Holy hell, the words I want to see. Chris Hero and Tim Storm Jr. have great chemistry and showed in their performance. That's good to know. Maybe future tag team when Chris Hero learns the errors of his way. Or a future feud here. Tim Storm. The thing you don't want to see is that his manager, Tim Storm Jr., have an awkward pairing and have no chemistry whatsoever. I'm definitely going to change that because I just don't believe that. We'll fix that in the backstage because I'm sure the parent-father relationship should have at least some type of chemistry. None whatsoever. We could fix that with a click of a button, so that's not too bad. Gets us a 41. Actually, not that bad of a match considering where Tim Storm is starting from here. This segment could have been better. After the fact, Tim Storm Jr. is dragged away by medical. He's in this segment only to be selling. I wish I knew how his selling was in this because that might be the reason why the segment was so low. He's looking to suffer some type of severe neck injury from the match. Chris Hero is completely unfazed by this, gets to a microphone and smiles while he says, "I'm breaking necks and cashing checks, boys. If you step in the ring with Chris Hero, you aren't here to flip and fly in the ring. You are here for a pounding, and I'm going to show you what real pain looks like." Levi Cooper comes out with a microphone, looking quite irritated at this, and calls him out and goes, "What the hell, man? This is a competition. But you just keep hurting people like that? This is no sport in this. You're just ruining people's careers for fun. That boy's entire future might be ended right now because you can't show a little restraint." Chris Hero, smugly looking at him, smirking, goes, "Why don't you step in the ring and say that, Levi? Or are you not as tough without some wrecking ball-shaped friend at your side?" Levi's a little upset by what he said. He goes, yeah, you know what? Tomorrow, we'll meet here. I'll give you a taste of your own medicine, pal. So we got Levi Cooper versus Chris Hero. We advance the storyline, gain some heat. Tim Storm and Tim Storm Jr. again throwing each other off. It is what it is, but we're building up towards a bit of a battle here. Meanwhile, after that is cleared, the lights go out, and Ezekiel sits in the center of the ring. He's rocking back and forth a bit as he talks on the microphone. He goes, "The quest for immortality, for greatness, it takes a toll on a man. We sat together and we ventured beyond the veil. deciphering lost scripts and gazing upon the color of space itself. Those things out there in the beyond, when they notice you and they get to you, they change you. You weren't ready for the next step, Bowdoin. You weren't ready to be changed in the way that I was. And that's fine. But it's time we end this charade. You've taken the worst of what we learned together, the easy route that laid ahead. You applied the teachings to lotus eaters who want nothing but complacency and safety. There is no safety in the void in which I now reside. But I will show you what true power looks like. Your recruit is gone. Why don't you send out your apprentice next? When he lay upon the sword, then only you and I remain, and then the time of reckoning begins. Ezekiel continues to want to burn down the Satori Institute initiative. He seems to be indicating that he's like possessed, that he has some types of interdimensional creatures within him, that he's at a different plane of existence, and that apparently Bowdoin had been afraid to maybe take that next step of maybe embodying that, and he's come back to end the Satori Initiative, the Institute. This gets great rating. It's a 62. He's calling out Nick Aldis. Got the crowd hotter. Very good. We have our number one contenders tag team eliminator here, because we forgot to really book the tag team division. In any capacity, we have FTR, Sleaze and Breeze, The Ascension, and the Von Erichs. FTR defeats Sleaze and Breeze, The Ascension, and the Von Erichs. Ascension goes first, then Sleaze and Breeze, and then the Von Erichs. And they become the number one contenders to face the Revenant. We gain some heat for the storyline. I need something good to do with FTR. I don't think they're winning this match. I think the Revenant are going to hold it for a bit. I feel bad because I love FTR so much, but I might move them to the Alliance tag scene after this or something like that, because I would like them to have a long reign, but at the same time, I just need something for them to do. But we are going to have them face off against the Revenant. It will be a very good match. This was a very good match. It was a 57. Got the crowd buzzing. Great chemistry all over the place. Though Ross was a little bit off his game. Meanwhile, actually, this is not too bad. Delilah Doom had a 36 here. Moving up in the world, Delilah Doom versus Sonya Baranato. I'm just going to change her to her original name because I just cannot pronounce her last name to save my life. She defeats her in 7 minutes. Sonya had a 45. Delilah Doom had a 36. We continue the storyline with her and Theo Trinidad. It doesn't say it here, but Theo is actually commentating. She's set for at ringside as well as in the commentator booth. But she's out there. She's kind of calling it out, watching the match, dishing dirt. Afterwards, we have a backstage interview between the heated two of Madison Eagles and Mickie James. Tom Phillips interviewing both of them in a sit-down, couple-minute segment, and just try and dish out what is the problem, why is there so much animosity. And Madison Eagles basically just says Mickie James, she has no respect for. She has no respect for the titles here, because there's never really been a focus. She's upset at her booking. She's upset that a part-timer can come in to steal spotlights. She feels like there's a lot of problems here, and she's kind of just saying that Mickie James is just sort of a representation of the worst of women's wrestling, and there's animosity between the two of them. Wants to have a match to prove that the old way of women's wrestling needs to die, and that she's the one to kind of put it down. Mickie James accepts. The two get kind of face off a little bit, but don't get in any confrontation. It's a good way to build up this sort of situation of this disrespect. Gives us a 48. Madison Eagles is our Alliance Women's Champion currently, but wanting to have sort of a vendetta fight here with Mickie James. We got Pentagon versus Samurai del Sol. Pentagon returned to attack our big lucha thing, and specifically targeted Samurai for some reason. And they have a match. Pentagon defeats him in 11 minutes by submission. Has a 65. Samurai actually is really good performance of a 51. Trouble in Lucha Town continues with the story here. Got the crowd buzzing. We are going to blow this crowd out, unfortunately. I don't have any real cooldown matches, I think, and this is unfortunate because it's a superb match, and it's just we're just going to kill this crowd. We just have nothing to cool them down at this point. 57. Afterwards, we have Pentagon continuing the attack on Samurai's arm, looking to pop it out. The bellkeeper adamantly ringing the bell, trying to tell him to stop. Pulling back further and further, listening, looking for that pop. It never comes, though, as he screams out Laredo. And Laredo does, in fact, come out to help his partner. Pentagon throws Samurai aside, rising up the stair down Laredo, and obviously kind of broken English, because neither of them really speak English very well. But for the sake of the game, we will have them well translated here. But Pentagon goes, Laredo, why do you partner with this imposter? You are a true luchador, but I guess you are just weak now. Join with me. We will strike fear through the NWA. Laredo shakes his head and goes, I fight for honor, not fear. Then you're weak. And he mutters at him before attacking and leaving them both on the ground. So we're building up to a Laredo Kid versus Pentagon Jr. match. Should be fantastic. Very basic storyline, but it's kind of what we have going for him. Two luchadors fighting each other for this, I guess, like almost ownership of the title of luchador in NWA. Pentagon wants to rule with fear. Laredo wants to fight with honor. It's a very traditional story, but it works very well. I expect this one to go for a bit. This might even be a great unmasking match if we continue the storyline. I expect that we'll find out how this goes when we see their actual match, but I expect this to be the match of the night tomorrow. So I'm very excited to see that. It does kind of remove them from the tag scene a little bit, but I think that's fine for now. Meanwhile, we cut to Bowdoin in the back with Nick Aldis lacing up his boots. Bowdoin looking very frazzled after hearing Ezekiel Crowley's kind of words. There's a face of determination upon Nick Aldis's face. That's redundant. Nick Aldis is very clearly going to go out there to fight him. Matt Cross is nowhere to be seen after his loss. Bowdoin pleads with Nick Aldis, do not go out there. Nick is unswayed by his words. And Nick goes, we went toe-to-toe, and he didn't even put me under. We tied. He may know my moves, but I know his too. Bowdoin sighs, knowing that he's not going to sway him differently. Because he was toying with you. He's showing you he's a master of study. You have to understand, he's different now from when we were partners. He can see things. He understands people in ways that don't make sense. He's dangerous. Well, so am I, Nick Aldis says as he finishes lacing up those boots and heads out. Bowdoin very upset, knowing that this is not going to go well. And it does not go well. We originally were going to have this built up as a match at Clash of Champions, but their performance and the fact that it didn't click was so poor that I just wanted to get it out of the way. It's an extremely short match, and it's a 3-minute squash of Crowley just dominating Nick Aldis. Gets a pinfall after a roundhouse kick. So I will say, and some of you will say, isn't this the Cody match? But this actually was the play. I was shocked when it happened on Dynamite, because I was like, holy shit, I had this written down for Nick Aldis. I had Crowley toying with him to the tie and smirking and just being like, giving Nick Aldis a false sense that he was going to win. And then when they actually fought, when he wanted to prove a point, Ezekiel just wiping the floor in a couple minutes with him. So it's kind of funny how that happens, but we all know that we have spies in this show from AEW that take our bookings, so it's not that shocking. Even though these guys don't click, we still get a 43, 55 from Crowley, 46 from Nick Aldis. We advance the storyline, but we lose heat from it just because they just don't click very well. And Crowley moves on to Clash of Champions, clearly to face Bowdoin. I don't expect that match to go very well, but it's sort of something we just have to do to move on from the story and move Ezekiel up the card to do bigger and better things. And in our main event, we have a very sports entertainment main event, but it's a very fun and effective one. We have Ace Austin and Pillman Jr. versus Eddie Kingston and Eli Drake. This is sort of your traditional tag team, two groups of people fighting each other on different sides kind of thing. Eli Drake obviously challenging Ace Austin tomorrow. Pillman Jr. and Eddie Kingston in this bloody, bitter feud. Ace Austin ekes out a win, defeating Eli Drake with an Aces High. He has the momentum, so, that's not good for Ace Austin if we do traditional wrestling booking, because usually the loser goes in with the momentum. So we'll have to see how that goes for him at Clash of Champions. But he does beat Eli Drake. Eddie Kingston is part of the winning team. Pillman furious. We had a 70 for Ace Austin, 58 for Pillman Jr., 51 for Eli Drake, 64 for Eddie Kingston. Kingston has hinted at a face turn, so I removed the disposition time limit because I think it's unrealistic. Because I think you can change people rather quickly if it's done well. I think there's a bigger issue of just like doing it too many times in a row. But just changing it it's like, you changed him 6 months ago. It's not too late. I think that's BS. I think the game has it set way too long of a time to change the story. I think people can be a face and a heel within 1 year, So we do try to hint at that. It is saying that he's not very good at that role, but I do want to change him. I don't know if I can initiate that here, but it'll probably be in the next one. At the end here, the Freestyle segment that we have, it's just a traditional post-match breakdown of the teams brawling, having to get pulled apart, kind of trying to build heat to those storylines. Unfortunately, it loses a little heat for the parlor trick story, and just advances Kingston versus Pillman. Again, we're getting that penalty for that face turn. I guess I can't do it here. We probably have to set it manually, which we'll have to do. But I do want to turn him face because I think he's going to be a face going forward. Even if he's a little bit of an anti-hero. What a great show. Only one bad one. Our women's division actually looking to build up really well. Delilah Doom is building up very nicely, and I'm very excited about that. Heidi Loveless looking to be a strong champion. Our main event and mid-card scene looking fantastic, and it is showing with that great rating of a 60. Very, very, very happy. We increased popularity in 11 regions. Wow. Let's see what we got before we end the show today. We had 882 fans. It was awesome. I agree. Nothing new happening in the world. Do have some mail. We have a pay raise request. I think we're paying him way lower. I'm totally fine with giving him the entire thing and giving him the morale boost. He's clearly the star of the show at the moment, so giving him the money will be fine. Eli Drake says, Matthias Breeze doesn't connect with fans. You should write him off. Well, thanks, Eli. We had a .04, 37,000 viewers. Connor says he has no momentum, need to book me stronger or I'll be dead in the water. Fair, I'll keep that in mind. And Ace Austin is needing some time to heal, which I think we could do for him. We could probably... It's going to be tough because he's champion, but I'm sure we can give him a week or two off of actually wrestling just to kind of keep him healthy, because we don't want him to get murdered here. We obviously have to do a match tomorrow, but we'll keep that in mind. We don't want to potentially hurt him there. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you next week for Clash of Champions, our season finale of Season 2 of TEW 2020's Billy Corgan's NWA. If you guys are not subscribed already, please think about subscribing. We are so close to 2,000. I'd be so excited if we went to 2,000. I never thought we would get to 1,000 subscribers, much less being almost there to 2,000. We got a lot of great things planned. We're building up some great stuff with the NWA. I want to do some other projects. We still have some other shows in the wings that we're working on. It's been difficult this year to schedule, I will be honest with you, but I think we're going to start kind of building that momentum and getting back on the horse and getting a few more things in the works coming out. So subscribe so you're notified of that. But again, thank you for watching. See you next time.